Next would be Senator Loren Legarda with the Philippines.
Thank you. The Talanoa dialogue clearly reemphasizes and reflects the vulnerabilities that we all face, whether industrialized or developing nations, and the kind of bold, aggressive climate action and political will that we must all do. Let us look at the science first. Commitments made by countries in 2015 lead to a 3 to 4 degrees Celsius world, which is almost uninhabitable. You know very well, in November 8, 2013, we experienced Haiyan in the Philippines at a global warming level of less than 1 degree. Imagine how much more intense and devastating typhoons would be at 3 to 4 degrees. It is therefore not an option whether or not countries should reduce their carbon emissions. That should not even be discussed anymore. All countries must do so. That is why we're advocating for a more ambitious climate goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius, because any level beyond this would be extremely difficult for us to survive and even thrive. We all know that the current NDCs are outdated. All NDCs need to be enhanced to limit warming to 1.5 degrees, in particular the NDCs of developed industrialized nations who need to do far more and far better. On our part, having coming from a developing nation, we need to recognize that our economy has changed since 2015. Technology, its economics continue to develop rapidly, sustaining the deflationary nature of renewable energy and thus deflationary electricity prices. But it's still a challenge coming from a country that's an archipelago with 7,100 islands. Now, in collaboration with leaders of critical sectors, we are finalizing our NDCs in order to ensure the participation of all sectors in this transformation. We are ushering in this transition from the bottom up. We have already conducted validation meetings, consultations, workshops for the NDC sectoral targets. And we know that this entails raising awareness, building capacities, crafting the necessary policies in order to achieve our NDC goals. We don't consider further reducing our carbon emissions. We're only 1/3 of 1%. But we don't look at this as a sacrifice. We consider this an opportunity. We continue pursuing this development path consistent with 1.5 degrees, not only because we know it is the best way to protect our people and our climate, but also because we know it will spur economic growth. And so the Philippines and are the developed or developing nations part of the Climate Vulnerable Forum. And as you know, the Philippines in the V20 in Lima, Peru, was one of the first that helped organize the finance ministers in the Vulnerable 20. And we intend to push the active participation of vulnerable developing nations and to ask the developed industrialized nations to scale up ambition so that the 1.5 degree target is met. So first, there's a need for bold climate action. Second, there's a need for transformation in all sectors, whether it's transport or forestry or agriculture or energy. And it should be multi-sectoral, not just industry, not just the politicians, but it should be the private sector, and everyone should be involved. And third, I've said it in the past sessions, in the past days, we must have proof of concept, community level, local climate action. At the same time, industrialized nations must not just make bold commitments, but actually walk their talk to show that the low carbon pathway and the low carbon economy would really bring about sustainable development. Thank you.